All right, we've got about a minute left before we start, so just as we ramp up into our webinar, remember that everyone is in listen only, but you're able to type questions that we'll be able to see and answer at the end of the webinar. So use the box to type in any questions during the meeting that you'd like to have us answer. Once again, we're grateful to have everybody with us. We're going to pause for just a minute as we get our computers lined up so we can record the webinar and post it online. So just hold here for about 5 seconds. Okay, everybody, welcome to the webinar. This is Stuart Anderson with the Crown Council team. We are excited for our webinar today. And as an introduction, I want to introduce our resource partners as a whole and give you a better idea of how the Crown Council establishes our partnerships with these businesses, or as we call them, resources. So what I do over the last few years is find, train, and then work with our partners and how they should interact with Crown Council membership. And to the untrained eye, these resources can sometimes appear as just a regular business, but we in fact call them partners. They're a member of the Crown Council in every way, and we consider them members just as we consider each of our dental teams a member of the group, and we expect them to offer solutions, not just products. So we're always on the lookout for new and unique partners that offer solutions to things that are happening inside the Crown Council. So lending solutions or practice appraisals, marketing tools or promotional tools, insurance tools, even we have a nutritional assessment resource partner. So these are always partners who are helping us find solutions that everyone in the Crown Council can benefit from. And we would say that all our resource partners have one thing in common, and they are all committed to helping Crown Council teams build a culture of success. So we would encourage our dental teams and our Crown Council members to constantly be on the lookout for businesses and resources that could offer solutions to the Crown Council membership. That is how we find all of the resource partners is through referrals. So with that said, we have 23 resource partners who are constantly interacting with our group, whether it's through email, through the webinars that we do, or face-to-face at the meetings that we provide. So all of our resource partners information can be found online at www.crowncouncil.org. All of their contact information, websites, and our personal contacts with each company can be found online. And with our webinar today, I am pleased to introduce our newest resource partner, and Jill Obrochta. And I'm going to turn the time over to Steve to introduce Jill. He's known her for many years. So Steve, if you want to take over for us and introduce Jill, that'd be great.
Great, thank you, Stuart. Welcome, everyone, today to our webinar. I'm very excited to introduce to the Crown Council Jill Obrochta. I met Jill 22 years ago when she was working as a hygienist in the Crown Council practice of Dr. Tom and Pat Worcester in southern Florida. She went on to, has had a very colorful dental career, has worked for several different companies in the industry, and filled a need several years ago where clients were asking for more detailed HIPAA and OSHA training, and so she took it upon herself to develop that, and then went on to form her own company, Dental Enhancements. Jill and I talked recently about everything that's going on in terms of HIPAA and OSHA regulation, and she enlightened me on several different points that I was totally unaware of, and I suspect that most watching today are unaware of them as well. And so she helped me really gain a higher level of understanding and things that need to be in place to be in compliance, so you can have the peace of mind of knowing that you're running your practice the way it should be run. So with that, I've asked Jill today to give us a rundown of the latest OSHA and HIPAA requirements, what's necessary to stay in compliance, the things that you need to have in place on an ongoing basis so that you can have the peace of mind of knowing that you're doing everything the way it should be done. So with that, Jill, welcome, and we're looking forward to your webinar today.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here. And to speak with Crown Counsel, you know, most of my business is set up with the same philosophies and culture, so I'm really excited to share that today with Crown Counsel members. I'm a hygienist, and I originally started 22 years ago, came and through Crown Counsel I had exposure with Dr. Tom Worcester and Pat Worcester, and I was a hygienist for many years. Over the last 20 years or so, I've been researching, developing, and educating dental professionals on compliance. This is my passion, my team's passion here at Dental Enhancements, and we'll share some of the insights with you. I know what you're thinking. Oh my goodness, I signed up for the next 30 minutes of OSHA and HIPAA compliance. Boring, overwhelming, cumbersome. That's what most dental professionals feel like. There's got to be a better way. You know, you wish that you can get this in place, all of these mandates and laws in your office, and there is. So about 20 years ago, I was practicing in South Florida, and at the Worcester's office, we were about 10 miles from a dentist who got in the center of a media controversy, and he was a dentist who had HIV, was said to be possibly opening his bloodstream during dental injection, right? So this is a delicate time in dentistry, even more fragile in South Florida. I'm the head of OSHA at a couple of my dental offices that I work for, and I have a study group. Everyone looks to me for OSHA compliance. Now there's bloodborne pathogens, so I'm walking this tightrope. I think this is when the idea spawned for OSHA Made Easy and HIPAA Made Easy solutions, because we want to focus on the art of dentistry, not so much on the compliance. So I've skinned my knees over the years, and when I've developed solutions for the dental practice setting, all I focus on is the dental team and the dental office and getting the proper protocols in place. So that's sort of the history and the evolution of my work. So today you'll have your first OSHA Made Easy and HIPAA Made Easy experience, and we are very approachable. We have guided help 24/7. I want to offer and welcome any Crown Counsel member. Please email me, call me. You'll have that information at the end of the last slide. We'll leave that up. But I do want to be your resource for compliance. I'm committed to you building a culture of success within your dental practice for compliance success. So just feel like this is an open door, and always reach out. I answer my phone 24/7 because I know if you have OSHA or HIPAA concerns, certainly if you're having inspections, you don't have time 9 to 5 to do that. You can call me at 7 a.m. You can call me at 7 a.m. on Saturday or Sunday morning. So that's kind of the peace of mind that I hope to bring to Crown Counsel for you. So let's talk about what's changed over the years. Most of you are aware that federal OSHA requires training. It is annual training. Please don't be misled that it's one person that you send. Any OSHA inspector is going to ask the office manager a few questions, the hygienist a few questions, everyone. Even somebody who is maybe part-time working inside of your sterilization area. Everyone has to go to annual OSHA training. Full-timers, part-timers, clinical, and non-clinical. Now, over the past 3 years, 3 or 4 additional mandates have come into play. International OSHA was introduced in December of 2013. It's called Global Harmonization System. That's a beautiful name, isn't it? Global Harmonization System. A fancy name for international chemical safety standards. Was introduced in 2013. By June of this year, you should have had training and some of the protocols in place. There's a bit of an extension to get all of the paperwork in order. Our material safety data sheets of the USA, they convert over to an international sheet. So you see there's some extended deadlines. Nonetheless, GHS should be alive and well in your office, so I'll go through what that entails so you'll understand if you have things set up correctly. For HIPAA all changed back in September of 2013 as well. So the new laws for privacy and security, those are called HIPAA omnibus rules. That can be anything from how you're checking your patients in and out of your office to make sure you have private areas, or at least privacy, no over here, to certainly your computers and your internet configurations. Now, if you're practicing in Michigan or Texas, everything's bigger in Texas, right? And Michigan has a big, bold, robust OSHA program. So certain states, those two states have a fourth requirement. We'll focus today on the annual OSHA so that you'll know what to do every year for your team. So we'll talk about the annual OSHA in detail, this OSHA GHS, and these HIPAA omnibus rules. And of course, we'll talk about some solutions. I'll save that till the end. What do inspectors look for? Comprehensive is key. And building your programs to be really comprehensive is what we want to focus on. Let's agree that there's these three federal requirements. Texas and Michigan, of course, we know you have the extra state. But we'll focus on annual OSHA, GHS, and then HIPAA omnibus rules. When inspectors come in your office, they expect that you're trained. They expect that your entire team is trained. They will question everyone. Within 5 minutes of coming to your office, an OSHA inspector will want about 800 pieces of paper, and a HIPAA auditor will want about 200 to 300 pieces of paper. Paperwork is imperative. You should know where it is, know where it's kept, and immediately deliver that to an inspector so that he's impressed and happy. And then they'll start to look through the facility. 70 protocols plus for OSHA, about 24 things that a HIPAA inspector will look for. So remember, it's not just the training. Paperwork and facility protocols are absolutely imperative. I love this slide. I call this slide the Holy Grail. And if you have a cell phone, I would suggest getting your cell phone out, taking a picture of this slide after I erase all the white. Okay, and every time there's a good slide, I'll tell you to take a picture of this. I can also email a couple of these slides if you'd like later. So let's talk about the training component. For federal OSHA, there are 4 modules currently, 27 learning points. Everyone has to be aware of those. Global Harmonization System, fancy name for International Chemical Safety. It will take our USA material safety data sheets and they convert over to a standardized international safety data sheet. You should already have those printed and then a 24-hour access, a cloud library or internet library in place. Pictograms are the new hazard rating symbols. You must have training and knowledge on this. Look at the HIPAA rules. 580 new pages of law for HIPAA. Each one of these require paperwork, certainly a proof of training certificate. If your OSHA manual was written before December 2013, important date, December 2013, you need to have it updated. So just look into getting a new manual written to the Global Harmonization System standard. Same thing with your HIPAA manual. September of 2013 should be the new published date, and it should say omnibus rule. So that is the new standard for your manual. Make sure those are in order. Lots of new forms for HIPAA. You'll have new patient forms, new employee forms for confidentiality. Even your business vendors need to sign confidentiality agreements, get this, if they see or use your patient info. So a ton of paper trail there for HIPAA. For your facility, 72 different requirements for your annual OSHA checkpoints that an inspector, if they're walking through your office, they will check 72 different things. For GHS, we will retain certain things from the U.S. system. So for instance, our hazard rating labels, little colorful squares. Did you know you have to have all of your dental products labeled at the point of use? This means inside of your operatories, certainly at lab or sterilization areas as well. I'll show you an easy way to get labeled. So besides the safety data sheets, pictogram diagrams should be posted in hazard labels within your facility. And anything for HIPAA, anything from how your patient checkout area is configured. I'm not saying to rebuild things or put up sound barriers, but certainly a verbal skill. Something like if there's a bottleneck at your front office desk, make sure if there's 2 or 3 people now standing in line, have your team members say, hey, Joan, we're going to have you have a seat in the reception area while this patient has a private checkout. We like to ensure each patient's private checkout. Super important for privacy. People yelp, people can report you to HIPAA. A HIPAA audit lasts 18 months. It's insidious. So please make sure you safeguard that. Computers and internet need to be up to these new HIPAA standards. As we work through the webinar today, I'll go through that in a bit more detail. So there's a lot. This is where I take a picture with your cell phone. This is a comprehensive program. Over the last 20 years, this is what I've dedicated my career to, and I want you to have this information so that you can build a very comprehensive program for your federal annual OSHA, international GHS, and your HIPAA omnibus rules. That's just a great diagram. Now, remember, it's not just about those 3 requirements. It's really 9 components when you think about it, when we think of the training, the paperwork, and the facility protocols for all 3, right? Very important. So sometimes you'll have an entity come in your office and say, annual OSHA training, we'll offer that free, or a GHS certificate. Now, you're a savvy dental compliance consumer, right? You know the paperwork and facility is key. Sometimes dentists will tell me, no one's going to bother me. I'm just a dentist. I say, don't bet on it. Be careful. Omnibus rules, huge fines, long audits. We don't want $10,000 to $1.5 million fines. If you were aware of an Oklahoma oral surgeon in 2012, he had a few lackluster infection control practices. So now OSHA inspectors trace back to this incident, this Oklahoma oral surgeon, and we are a target for infection control. So please just build your programs wisely, right? If you're thinking, oh my God, this is a lot of stress, I am here to help you. So please reach out. We'll have questions at the end. And as your resource now, as a resource partner, I'm so happy to answer questions and emails, right? So we do make this really easy for you, and I want you to know that whether you speak to me or any of our trainers, all of our trainers are dental professionals too. That's a requirement. And I hope to be a resource for you and an extended team member really for life. So this is a real honor for me to be joining you. Let's talk about annual OSHA and what should be included. 4 components, 27 learning points. OSHA is about employee safety. Please make sure that you don't forget about state, county, health department requirements. Now the EPA protects water tables and soil, and even the Drug Administration. EPA is the father of OSHA and the Drug Administration. Lots of regulations. So I hope I can be a resource to you. We do like to include all of those state, county, health department, EPA, DEA regs for you. Every year you do have to train because diseases change, national world disasters and technology changes. I dedicate my year and ongoing every single day, every week, we are studying what changes. Remember your federal OSHA, it's an annual event. Mark your calendar. If you know you had training in October, every October mark that calendar. I like to make sure that you have an automatic renewal program in place so that you'll never be out of compliance or delinquent. It's really tough when you forget about OSHA. Super easy to forget about the annual date. Please mark your calendar so you know when that's coming up. Easy with our reoccurring notes that we can place inside of calendars these days. Some states have additional protocols. I always include that with federal except for Michigan. Michigan has some big, bold requirements. So for the very robustness of the OSHA requirements, if you live in Michigan, there are 200 additional pages of OSHA. We help with 45 of those to fill in the blanks. It just gets a little bit crazy. So having a coaching session or availability to help you understand those 45 pages, you can get these 200 pages for it used to be for free. You know, Michigan Dental Association just changed that, but you can use Michigan Dental Association as a resource to get those 200 pages of law. Let's get back to everyone in the country. What are the required forms that every OSHA inspector wants? Remember, they want this within 5 minutes of coming to the office. So make sure that you have, for every employee, annual OSHA employee training, 3 consecutive years. An occupational hazard exposure per your job title and hepatitis B vaccination record also required. And now proof of global harmonization system training. Those are the 4 documents you should have with your OSHA manual. Then it's very convenient, and keep those records for 3 years back. A medical history is required. Why? What if someone gets hurt at work? So management needs to know how to handle a medical emergency. Everyone should have a medical history filled out, updated every year. Doctors, you get to keep those separately because there's private information in the medical history. Save those for 30 years. This is what you want to produce immediately, right? Those 4, I like to keep those 4 with the OSHA manual, right? OSHA manual, remember when you go back to your office, please check the publication date on your current OSHA manual. Should be written to the new GHS standard. Very important for paperwork. You might notice I'm a little bit picky about the annual federal paperwork because if you're disorganized and unprepared, you could take the average 30-minute OSHA inspection. It can turn into an 8-hour nightmare. I don't want you exposed to that kind of risk. Let me review the requirements for paperwork one more time, okay? For MSDS sheets, please keep those for 30 years. Even though we're evolving to the new safety data sheets that are international, you'll want to print out your safety data sheets and either set up a cloud, a digital, or an internet library. You must have 2 copies, a working and a backup copy. Save the employee paperwork. I love to keep that in the back of an OSHA manual in a 5-year organizer. Make sure that OSHA manual is updated to a GHS standard. I like to keep all the sterilization and disinfection logs in one place. Biomedical waste receipts, spore strip tests. You can easily see this is 1,000 pieces of paper, right, that you have to produce within 5 minutes. If you organize yourself in this manner, you can hand these to Mr. or Miss Inspector, keep them happy, and then they tend to move through the facility quicker if your paperwork is organized. These are the 27 different learning points. I'm going to stick to the column on the far right. So dental product labeling of the USA. These colorful squares need to be in place through next June. This is the second thing an inspector looks for after paperwork, dental product labeling at the point of use. For exposures and biomedical waste and bloodborne pathogens. Did you know there's 5 different containers you need to run a dental office? I'm not counting about regular trash. We need a big red bag. We need small red bag in each operatory, small sharps container in each operatory. It's required that you do not walk with or rehandle waste. You must dispose of at point of use. An amalgam recycling container, whether you are placing amalgam fillings, even if you take out amalgam fillings, you must use an amalgam recycling container for the residue on traps and filters. Get this is new. Your dental carpules now need to be in a dual waste container. So the EPA says that these liquid, any leftover liquid anesthetic can hurt the soil and the water table. So they have to be segregated from sharps. So interesting facts. And infection control and sterilization and disinfection, I like to give a safety facility report so that after you do a training, please make sure that you have someone to do a mock OSHA inspection for you. This way, you don't miss anything hidden within the 27 points of training. Here's the dual waste container. I want to make this a little bit more clear. So you have anesthetic and you might have some residue in here. The reason they call it a dual waste container is that it might have blood or saliva. So now these containers can either look black in color, navy blue, or I love the clear containers that are the mailback type, and you can get those from WasteWise through any dental supplier. They're called RX Gone. They are about 1/3 cheaper than haulers. So RX Gone, great way to get into compliance for these new required dual waste containers. How many containers does it take to run a dental office? I already told you, traditional containers or these pour and cure mailback containers. Another great opportunity, please take a picture with your cell phone of this slide. It's important to have all 5 of these functioning within your dental office, from your red bags, sharps containers, amalgam recycling containers, and these new dual waste containers mandated by the EPA recently. Safety facility report, I'm kind of a dork, I'm kind of a geek, and so I'm friends with OSHA inspectors. I always like to customize a facility report if you're working with us for training. I just think that's easier. And then make sure that you have some kind of a system to have a mock OSHA credentialing. This then becomes a checklist for you. I think that's just a super easy way. Every year I upgrade this. We're always updating that within our system. This is based on the last 15 years of dental office OSHA fines. It pays to be friends with the OSHA inspectors. I want to know what they're going to look for in your office. Now, if you think you need some help with your annual OSHA, we do have some additional solutions. I welcome you to contact me after the presentation today. Our phone number is here, and certainly you can ask me some questions as well. Sometimes this is a longer discussion, so if you think any bits or pieces are missing from your current annual program, you just give me a shout later, right? Questions, we'll take that about annual OSHA. You might want to jot those down now, and I will field those later at the end of the presentation. Let's talk about global harmonization system. Dental offices should have been trained by December 2013. They gave you a bit of an extension through this June, and now you have an additional extension for a little bit of the acquiring SDS sheets. What is global harmonization system? It's an international approach at creating chemical safety throughout the world. This is the result of the World Summit meetings that took place over a decade ago. You can see that everyone else has been on this program 9 years. We're dragging our feet a little bit in USA. We really needed this system because up until recently we have had 6 different ways to label one product. There's 945,000 hazardous products in USA. We're a hot mess in case of a chemical emergency. So what is the big change about? Here's what will change under global harmonization. Your material safety data sheets of USA convert to an international safety data sheet. They will read much easier in case of an emergency. You will need to allow 24-hour access by all employees, and you do need to have a working copy and then a backup copy. Inspectors love paper. Please make sure you have a paper copy. And then you can either do a cloud, an internet backup, or some offices I've even seen them download them and create jump drives for each employee. So the working copy and backup copy, key. Remember, my colorful squared labels must be at the point of use. This is the second thing an inspector is looking for through next June. Because all safety data sheets aren't available, this is your backup system, so we have to run 2 systems at once. Now manufacturers put these beautiful symbols, pictograms. You should have training and proof of trainings with the pictograms and a diagram hanging in your office. You'll need to know how to make a pictogram diagram. If you ever re-pour products into a secondary bottle, or if you take something really tiny out of the box. For instance, hygienists might take a handful of Profi paste, or we throw away the box of the little tubes from any kind of bonding agent, right? So there are some labeling concerns that should be in place in your office already. Let me show you the pictograms. Manufacturers already put pictograms on all labels. Employers, you should display these in English during all shifts, and employees should know how to read these. They do contain both words and symbols. So a training program would train you in the 9 pictograms. We use 8 of them in dentistry. 2 signal words, either danger for severe hazard or warning for a lesser hazard. Here's what your labels will look like. Check it out when you go back into your operatory. Name of product. Here we have a signal word, danger. I'll teach you this one. This is actually really creative on the part of the government. This is the pictogram for corrosives. Chemicals dripping on skin. This signifies a chemical burn to skin. Chemicals dripping on a surface that would exemplify a etch or a burn. Really common is the corrosive pictogram in dentistry on our bonding and etching agents. We have explosive, a little firecracker bursting, flammable, pretty easy. Some of them get a little harder to recognize, right? And so these are your 8 pictograms in dentistry. You should have full training, proof of training certificate, and a diagram like this posted within your facility. Those are all requirements. So easy to have a pictogram because then your team can memorize them. So it's great to have that. And then I like to put your solution for how you're storing your backup SDS sheets. So important to have that within your facility, right? Final deadline for training was June of 2015. We have an extension to grab all those safety data sheets till next June. So very important, GHS. If you are challenged and think, oh my, I need some help with global harmonization system, we'll talk about solutions for you individually. Certainly ask me questions, okay? I'm very happy to field questions a little later on GHS. HIPAA. HIPAA is the last thing that changed for us back in 2013. It was an unlucky year. Everything changed. I did not have a fun summer in the summer of 2013. Lots of studying. So I did my studying of the omnibus rules with the HIPAA lawmakers in our legal team. So what's an omnibus? By definition, it's a volume containing previously published parts. In January of 2013, there's 500 pages of HIPAA. They add another 80 pages by March. So I took the 580 pages, sat down with our lawyers, and created a 50-page workbook, and then from there, 50 ready-to-use forms. You do need, 5 new forms. You do need 5 new forms in the dental office. Let me show you what those are. The 5 new functioning forms for HIPAA. This was required in all dental offices to already be functioning by September of 2013. Yet they didn't really make many announcements, did they? ADA may have announced this a little bit, but there's not a way to find a lot of information mainstream. It wasn't really streamlined to you as a dental professional. So let me share. Why are we doing all this? Seems that the government feels about 70% of identity theft can come out of a healthcare facility. Theft of paper, theft of jump drives. Oh my goodness, that's the #1 fine for a HIPAA auditor is backup drive that you take with you. Theft of paper that's not being shredded. You should be aware of what is a misuse or a breach with your patient health information, and we need to now have a breach reporting protocol. It's mandatory, and they're very diligent about that. HIPAA now protects an individual's identifiable information. So HIPAA has evolved from just making health insurance portable. It was the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act in the 90s. Now it helps to protect a person's past, present, or future protected health info, PHI. Lots of acronyms in HIPAA, right? PHI, protected health information. Your team should have a training program where they understand the 18 common protected health identifiers. You use number 1 through 10 every day in a dental office. You need to use and then safeguard all of this information inside or outside of the office. So certainly if you're using full-face photos and if you're using some Facebook or any kind of social media, you must know about the PHI, the 18 specific protected health identifiers, and all team members must know what to do with them, what not to do. So very important. What's prohibited? Certainly conversations in or out of the office. Government does not want you to use full name to identify a patient. Stop your paper trail early and often by using a shredder. I know your computer workstations, those terminals are password protected. Please make sure you reach out to your software company. Let them sign on remotely and get your computers in HIPAA screen mode protection. This is another great photo opportunity if you have your cell phone, right? HIPAA screen mode protection, this will obscure your patient's last names during work hours. And if you use the internet at home or at work, words and photos are traceable. Everyone should be very discreet if you're a healthcare worker in the USA. Healthcare workers, once they're signed and have a sign-off sheet, they become responsible for their actions. What is a breach? Remember I said that if you have any mishap with patient info, a breach is anything that would cause your patient financial, reputational, or other harm. Certainly, if your computers are stolen or hacked into. Now, even if an employee indiscriminately, you accidentally send a wrong email or mail a wrong document, must be reported. There is a link to report breaches. The link goes to hhs.gov. There's a little bit of strange terminology, so if you don't know these terms, we can always help you to report a breach. It takes about 5 minutes. I'd rather you be safe than sorry. Right? The fines, $10,000 to $1.5 million, and The audits are 18 months. Reporting a breach is quick and easy. If you don't report it and someone else reports you, then we get into a lengthy audit and it's expensive, right? So I told you in the beginning of my HIPAA presentation here that 5 forms are important. Let's look at these 5 forms. Your patient form, the notice of these laws. Business vendors need to send confidentiality agreements, and we'll talk about some other changes as well. Remember when your HIPAA form was 2 or 3 sentences? Look at it now. If you're using a HIPAA form from back in 2003, this is the update and the upgrade. You'll need a professional record release so that you can send x-rays and records to chosen doctors. How they want to be called by name, I don't think we should go to that first name basis completely. The government says it's the law. So a way to have respect for the elderly patients or doctors you may treat. We put in a permission area that you can use their surname. Guardians that have access, super important. If you're pedodontic or orthodontic, sometimes parents are divorcing, and this is when we have trouble with treating the child and who has permission. Please get your guardians listed. Also, if you have caretakers, children that are caretaking elderly parents, very important spousal permission as well. We'll list on here treatment, financial, and contact methods. Under these new laws, everyone should have the opportunity to opt out of text or email. And get this, if you're selling products, if you're selling mouthwash, toothpaste, electric brushes, you now not only have to let the patient know you're going to sell to them, you have to get a written signature permission. Ouch! That's painful, right? We try to keep that easy and streamlined. That's our new form. That's how we like to roll. Get everything on one sheet. Include that product selling practices that says you're a dispensary, and then things should flow pretty easily. You must display a notice of these new laws in your office. This is a 9-page document, and then also please, if you have a website, post it on your website. I like to laminate, keep the notice on a clipboard when the patient signs their new form. It's pretty easy. And you can also scan these if you are in just a signature pad, so you can do that. Everything I like to have on one CD-ROM, and I like to provide these in Microsoft Word PDF format. It makes it easier to post that PDF on your website. So those are important forms, the patient form and a notice of these laws. Let's look at this business vendor agreement, the business associate agreement. It doesn't mean that you have a partner, a dentist partner, so the government calls this a business associate agreement. I think it is more aptly named a business vendor confidentiality agreement. So let's look at why the government wants this. Patient protected health information is at the core. Now there's a far-reaching ripple effect. You're considered the covered entity, and any vendor, even their subcontractors that can see or use your patient info, must pledge confidentiality when using it. Another good slide to take a picture of. Required from anyone who collects data from you. Your software company, confirmation service, consultant, IT techs, data storage company. Highly recommended. Let's face it, if someone's using your PHI, you are responsible, doctors, for anyone's behavior with your patient info. Dental labs, temporary employees, after-hour services. So very important. Snap a photo if you have your cell phone. That's really important to have these business associate agreements signed. Thank God. We'd be doing HIPAA all day long. There are some considerations, and it's considered the course of doing business as you reach out to doctors, doctor referrals, pharmacy, insurance company. No need for one of these. Business as usual. Otherwise, we'd be doing HIPAA all day long. And remember, your delivery people, they're bonded and insured. So for those delivery people, no need either. So make sure that you have a business associate agreement. We have a beautiful tracking log. Make one for yourself. Whoever has to do this arduous task, I would put the name of the office, key contact person, when you sent this out, when you got their agreement back. And in our HIPAA manual, we have it listed to who's required, who's recommended, who's not necessary. Isn't that a nice tracking log? That'll make your life a lot easier. So develop a tracking log like this, and that will be easier to send out your business associate agreements and keep track of those. Inspectors will look for that, HIPAA inspectors. So forms. I like your forms ready to use. You don't have time to get a kit and study the law. So 5 forms. Please make sure you have every patient signing the new patient acknowledgement form. Your business vendors will sign that business associate agreement. Once in a while, you'll have a third party like a spouse or a guardian pick up records, x-rays and whatnot, so you'll need a third party release of medical records. Every single year, you'll need an annual report. This is to have your IT tech fill this out. Your annual report will be how are you backing up your data and how is your IT tech protecting your computers and internet in case there's a catastrophe, like a fire, a flood, a natural disaster. You cannot leave patient PHI lingering either on your computers or on the internet. And remember that notice of privacy practices. Those are the top 5, should already be updated and in use in your office, right? With regards to software. So if you're using Microsoft XP, that's no longer compliant. We do want to make sure that you are compliant to the standard of Windows 7 or 8. And please make sure your email is encrypted or that you have a program to validate email, outgoing email. A lot to do with federal HIPAA, isn't there? Now, for Texas, everything's bigger and bolder in Texas. I think maybe Governor Rick Perry could not get his medical records a few years back. And in 2013, he implemented Texas HB 300. Every employee has to have a worksheet, a certificate, every 2 years that they understand the stricter requirements for Texas HB 300. The rest of the country, one of the nuances, the rest of the country has 30 days to deliver patients their requested records. In Texas, it's only 15 days. So do not hold on to x-rays or records, even if someone owes you a balance. Please get rid of those documents and send them on their way to the patient or a referring doctor. That's part of the Texas HB 300. All employees must be trained with a training proof of certificate every 2 years for HB 300. If I'm starting to sound like a root canal, I agree, the law is painful. The remedy is in the solution. So the sooner that you can build a comprehensive program in your office with training, required paperwork for HIPAA omnibus rules, and the requirements, the happier and healthier you'll be. Remember, we want to avoid those big fines and also avoid any audits. So if your challenge is help with HIPAA and you need some additional help, I understand. I will field questions. If you have any specific questions on HIPAA, please do question me later, and remember you can contact me as well. You know, today I was so glad when Steve asked me to have a webinar and share this time with you. I think my biggest commitment is I hope that I've instilled the need. Don't inch by on hope. Don't turn your head and ignore. It's too late when the inspectors come a-knocking, right? So create programs in your practice that give you peace of mind and that you know you have all of the training, paperwork, and facility protocols in place. I hope that you are enlightened after today's discussion. So we'll talk about some perfect solutions, and certainly if you want some more enlightenment at the end of our session or later, I'm game. So we can bring on those questions in just a moment. I think, Steve, some of our audience may have their heads spinning at this point, so we're going to talk a little bit about if one of our attendees needs everything, and I'm going to give it away to you, Steve. You can help out our members now, yeah?
You got it. I think
or Stuart. I don't know, Steve or Stuart. Stuart's going to talk, right? Stuart's going to talk. Okay, cool.
So, yeah, like Jill said, before we get to the question and answers, this scrolling page that you see that Jill has on the screen is the solution that she's created and her company has created that makes this OSHA and HIPAA very easy. So provides manuals, forms, training videos, and most importantly that Jill talked to us before is that she does private webinars just for your office. So it's developed by inspectors, lawmakers, and great legal teams. So this is a product that's already been prepared. It's very easy. It's very simple and a great solution for a dental office. So, and that's not all about the product itself. Jill has some amazing pricing that we're going to get to in just a minute. So the original pricing is $12.50 for a normal office, but just for Crown Counsel today till December 6th, it's 15% off for this all-in-one inclusive program or solutions for our Crown Counsel members, which is an amazing resource, not only as a tool, but also the power of our group being able to work together to find this solution. So Jill, thank you very much. We're very excited for this special offer, and as you can see on the screen, Jill can be reached through her email or the phone number that's on the screen, Jill at dentalenhancements.com. And then Jill, is that your direct line? Will that ring right to your desk, or how does that phone number work?
No, that'll go to our administrator, Lucy, but please use Lucy as a resource as well. All of our team members are just so dedicated to your success. So if you need, Lucy sometimes knows more than I do, I think. I'm just the talking head. Lucy does it all. So please lean on myself or Lucy. And she's great. If you would love to talk to me, I certainly would want to as well. And I know you're busy. A lot of times you're with patients. Jot me an email. It's my pleasure to answer by email or have a conversation before or after hours as well. So Lucy and I can be reached at that number.
Very good. And should these Crown Counsel offices just let them know that they're from the group, or what's the best way to,
to interact?
Please, okay.
If you do want a private consultation, I'll certainly field questions right now. But for a private consultation, just say, hey, I'm from Crown Counsel, and Lucy will know that there's that special offer for you. You may also want bits and pieces, or you might want not the whole shebang for an all-in-one package. So we do have certain components. You might have GHS in place, but you're like, I need the HIPAA. Just call us, and we'll guide you into the right area to complete all of the compliance solutions. I just want you to build really comprehensive programs so you're prepared, and lean on us if you have questions. It's my pleasure to answer any questions about these laws.
I've got four. I got four great questions if you're ready for them.
I'm ready. Go ahead, Gregory.
First, Stuart, thank you for that. We've been looking for this solution for a long time. I can't tell you how many phone calls we get into the Crown Counsel office asking us for a great resource for this kind of training, and we appreciate you taking this on. And I think there are two things that Steve and Stuart and I noticed about this. One, you don't know what you don't know, and so sometimes we proceed along thinking everything is okay, and then we find out that there's a lot of stuff we didn't really know. And that was probably the starkest realization for us. The second part of this that I thought was interesting, that Jill certainly will tell you privately, but the largest personal investment here is getting all of this set up. The maintenance to this on an annual basis is really a lot less expensive. I mean, it's in the low hundreds of dollars rather than an investment of $1,250. Did I get that right, Jill?
You know, I didn't want to focus on a lot of but the renewal, the auto renewal is $180 a year. But the first year, it's so much paperwork and work, and then after that, it gets easy.
So here are some questions. One, does anyone really get inspected? And if so, how do they get inspected?
Yes, they do. 3 ways. 1, disgruntled employee that leaves and knows that you're not doing the right thing. 2, disgruntled patient that reports you. All reports are anonymous now. So there's a new whistleblowers law since 2012. Everyone has anonymity. 3rd way is new GHS. So there is manpower and a powerhouse because the USA is dragging its feet, and so they have to comply and prove that they're complying. So there are audits all the time. My phone rings early and late, so I know that there are inspections, sometimes more in one part of a country than another. Michigan, absolutely, because they have a huge, their own. They've gone independent. So yes, those are the 3 ways that you get audited.
I have had multiple requests. This isn't a question, but I wonder if maybe you could screen capture or pull out those slides of those forms that you asked everybody to to make special note of the
Yes,
one
I sure
slide,
will.
and
Yeah.
also the 5 forms, and maybe you
Here we
could
go.
send those to
Yeah.
me, and I'll send them out with a copy of the webinar so that they can have those in a place where they can see them.
I'll do the 9 different sections, you know, that big grid. That's my favorite, and I'll do this one. Absolutely, I'll share that. Very, very important stuff. So I'm happy to do that and share that with everyone.
I have a question. Who is allowed to do the annual training? Professional trainer or an in-office team member?
It can be anyone can do it as long as they're aware of all of those 27 points and all of the components of GHS. So, you know, it can be overwhelming. And then, like you said, you don't know what you don't know. So there is not any complete certification. What they go by is that you know everything all of the time. So resources would be Centers for Disease Control, right? Making sure you're checking your federal, international, and OSHA on the websites. So anyone can do that. You just have to be comprehensively in place, not just the training, the paperwork, and the facility as well.
Excellent. What are the most commonly missed things that offices are not doing that could get them in the most trouble?
That is a great question, and that's why I created that 72-point report. So I don't take any chances, and we update that report. Sometimes it's more than 70, currently 72. The most common, those 5 containers. So an office says, well, I have a red bag. Well, you need a sharps container and a red bag in each operatory. You cannot walk around with soiled waste of any type. So anything disposable, sharps and soft waste. Now the dental carpules, brand new, dual waste container, very commonly missed. And the amalgam recycling container, what do you put in there? Extracted teeth with amalgam fillings. I've known OSHA inspectors to tip over trash or look in sharps containers. You can't heat up amalgam in an incinerator or in a sharps container. It creates a toxic fume. So those containers are very common. Paperwork overlooked. Also, you know, signature forms from your team. So there are many nuances. Those are some of the most common. And it can be anything from every single clinician that handles soiled instruments needs to have access to their own pair of puncture-proof utility gloves to earplug protection. If you're exposed to more than 2 hours of a turbine handpiece, it's mandatory to offer your team members earplugs. So lots of crazy little tiny rules. And I can go on and on. I'll stop. Those are a few.
On this same topic, I have had someone ask if you could just briefly review the dental carpool container thing again, and maybe at the same time, if you have a resource where you can purchase or get the dual waste containers.
Yes, I can do that. So the dual waste container, one more time, let's take a look at this. EPA is the father of OSHA and your drug enforcement agency. The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, says we're contaminating our soil and our water table. Can't happen anymore. So the EPA says now in dentistry we must have these dual waste containers. And the dual waste container would take the residual liquid in the carpule as well as blood and saliva, because it's biomedical waste and there's some residual pharmaceutical in there, right? And also you can put pills in here as well. Stericycle has these black containers. I find them to be the most expensive. The ones that I love, and I'm sorry I don't usually, you know, plug a company, but I just want to save everyone some money. And this is from WasteWise, the RX Gone container. I love WasteWise as a resource for their website. Wastewise.com. They have cute, kitschy 2-minute videos, and you go, oh, it's easy to use. I know how to package this up. I know how to, you'll either send it back. Sometimes it's a self-disposal. Most times it's a mail back, and then they incinerate or they do medical grade autoclaving. This has to go through a system that they have to specially wash these out 3 times and capture that water and then inactivate the water. Then they do a medical grade autoclaving. So this is the pharmaceutical dual waste container for pharmaceutical and biomedical waste. Good?
Awesome. Last question probably doesn't apply to everyone, but do OSHA and HIPAA regulations apply to private membership medical and dental associations?
Not
They're not
if they don't.
considered a dental practice.
No, if they're not considered a dental practice, this is really for the safety of employees, what I specialize in, and the safety of employees in private practice. If you're institutional, though, more like a school or maybe a dental assisting school, it can apply, but it's not my area of expertise. So what we're talking about today is private practice dentistry. If you're working and not seeing patients, or if you're not government, I do everything that hasn't to do with government institutions or .orgs. I don't specialize in that either. So I can only answer to private practice is required.
If you are are there any areas of this that are where you would be exempt if you are a practice of a smaller size, or is this
no,
everything applies to everybody?
No more. Used to be they'd let you slide, like, send one person, and the front desk doesn't have to do certain things. No more, because they want things uniform, and they want safety. Safety first. Everyone. Full-timers, part-timers, clinical and non-clinical. Every year for your annual OSHA. Mm-hmm.
Jill, thank you so much. You are going to be such a marvelous resource to the membership of the Crown Council. We will post this webinar online on crowncouncil.org along with the slides that we talked about, and we will notify you all by email as soon as we get this off the recording here today and posted. And we hope that you will take advantage of Jill's marvelous offer here. Jill, thank you so much for your time today.
So much my pleasure. Thanks to everyone. Have a beautiful afternoon, everyone. Thank you.
Back to work. Thank you. Bye-bye.